talk to William Yarwood, who's Taxpayers Alliance Media Campaign Manager. William, very good to see you.
Good to see you, Mike. How are you, mate?
Very well indeed. We saw each other just not that long ago, actually, a few weeks ago.
Guinnesses in the
a few
lunchtime.
pints in the pub, absolutely right. You've done a great story this morning. It's actually John O'Connell's piece that's in the Sun, page 10. How much is your council tax going up this week? Because you've discovered that 3,906 council bosses receive more than £100,000 in remuneration.
Yeah.
And the cost of running councils is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, and that's 26% more than the previous year, by the way, Mike.
Right.
And this is all the while council tax goes up across England. I mean, I think the average bandy household is going to be facing about a 5-point percentage rise in their council tax.
Yeah.
But as you know, there are places around the country that are getting way more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, we were in Windsor and Maidenhead very recently campaigning against, they wanted to raise it by 25%, which is an absolutely insane number. I mean, granted, Rayner said they could only have it by 8%, but that's still 8% more than they would otherwise be paying. And when I think about what are local people getting, are they getting potholes fixed? Are they getting their bins collected?
Right.
No, they're paying more for less, frankly. And where all this money is going, I think it's going into the back pockets of these backroom bosses.
Yeah, and obviously what they're doing as well, and we know this, I think something like 70 to 80% of all the money that you pay in council tax goes towards the salaries for these characters and their pensions, right? Because they've all got massive pensions, and it used to be the case that you would pay less money to these people because their pensions and their perks were great, but they now got the big salaries as well.
Yeah, totally. I mean, one thing people have a go at us for at the TPA is they say, oh, why are you including pensions in there? Why are you including compensation? Why are you including, their bonuses? I think it's really important that local taxpayers know how much they're being fleeced by those town hall bosses, because often the biggest pay packages they have are not actually in their salaries, it's hidden in their pension contributions. I mean, how on earth can local councils afford pension contributions of £300,000, £400,000, possibly even £500,000 at times, while local taxpayers don't even have access to these kind of gold-plated public sector pensions and have to deal with, horrible roads with potholes in, bins. I mean, you know about Birmingham. I mean, Birmingham's going on strike. I mean, Birmingham's already pretty full of rubbish anyway.
They pretty much declared a state of emergency now.
And interestingly, in our racist list, mate, Birmingham didn't give us their accounts.
Right.
So what are they hiding?
Oh, really?
Well, they're hiding, yeah. They're one of the councils that haven't given us their accounts, and they're one of the councils that went bankrupt as well. So I'd love to know what they're hiding. But yeah, the figures are quite astonishing. I mean, like, if you want to talk about just salary just for a moment, there are 238 council employees on more than Keir Starmer.
I know.
That is completely not crazy.
Here's the sort of the top 5 roll of shame, if you like. Anne-Marie O'Donnell, Chief Exec, Glasgow, 567,000. Chris Mills, Strategic Director, Castle Point, Essex, 565. Undisclosed Social Care, Brighton, 456. Amanda Skeet, Deputy Chief in Basildon in Essex, 379,000. Caroline Lacey, Chief Exec, East Riding of Yorkshire, 347,000. Nice work if you can get it.
Yeah, it totally is.
What do they do, these chief executives?
Yeah, that's the thing. So one of the arguments made to me is that, we need to pay these council bosses and we need to pay MPs and public servants more so that people can get, these high-quality people can be attracted to these jobs. Well, where are all the high-quality people if these councils are run into the ground? Maybe you talk about Parliament more specifically, MPs are getting a 2.8% pay rise. Is the country run better? Obviously not. Do they deserve the pay rise? No. So, why on earth should local taxpayers have to cough up, hundreds of thousands of pounds in council tax in order so that a council boss can sit on a pretty pension all the while their bins aren't collected, their potholes aren't fixed in, and actually in reality they're getting less for paying more, and that sums up modern Britain, doesn't it?
It really does.
You pay more tax, you get less.
You get less. And also, all of these companies, councils rather, that are going bankrupt and losing money and unable to manage their own budgets, they don't seem to ever get rid of anyone.
No.
I mean, they never have a sort of paring back of public employees, do they?
And that's our argument, Mike, basically, is like, instead of cutting down on frontline services, how about some of these council bosses look themselves in the mirror and realise that actually where all the money's going is to them, and actually they're not a good use of taxpayers' cash, and maybe some of them should actually quit their jobs if they actually knew what was good for taxpayers, or at least not take insane bonuses, not take insane salaries, not take insane pension contributions like I mentioned earlier, and put local taxpayers first. But yeah, it's good work if you can get it. And I mean, we do this paper every single year, and we cause a sting with it every single year, and yet every time we do a paper like this, it gets worse. So it's like they still think they can get away with it. So I think there's some room for central government to get involved there and say, oi, you're not going to have pension contributions totaling more than like the average, someone beyond their wildest dreams could have in the private sector. You're not going to have salaries for over 150k or get paid more than the Prime Minister when your council's in a state and you can't even collect bins properly. I think there needs to be a bit of more bullishness from central government in order to get involved. But I don't think we're going to see that, do you, Mike?
I don't think we are, no. The other thing that seems to pop up every now and again is the fact that they now have so many people working from home in blended working situations that there are actually some of them thinking of selling off council property. Now, it seems to me that if that's council property that they sell, that they then, feed the money back into their system, surely that's our money, isn't it? Because if we own a council building, then it belongs to the public, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally.
They should knock it off the council tax if they sell it.
Yeah, totally, but they won't, obviously. And also, when you talk about working from home, what about working from abroad? Loads of council staff work from abroad. They go to the beach, they sip, margaritas on the beach, all the while enjoying these pension contributions, these salaries, these bonuses, while ordinary taxpayers get fleeced. And quite frankly, Mike, it baffles me that these guys are able to get away with this, and I think there needs to be some genuine radical reform from the top in order to deal with this kind of stuff, because this lot isn't going to reform themselves.
No, of course not. And of course, I presume if you work for the council, you get some help with paying your own council tax, do you? You probably don't have to pay what everybody else pays.
Yeah, there was a bit of a scandal a while back where some Scottish councils apparently were just not expensing their council tax, but just not paying it.
Right.
Just not paying it, had to back pay it. Yeah. But if they hadn't got found out, Mike, they wouldn't have paid it.
Of course not. And we were talking of Scotland, and we don't want to get specific because obviously there are elections going on. But I got past a story the other day from one particular council up in Scotland where the councillors themselves, who are normally not paid an awful lot of money, they're relatively sort of on 20,000 here, 30,000 there, they're all getting a 40% pay rise. Which is extraordinary.
Yeah,
I'll pass that one on to you because you may want to look into it.
It is extraordinary, but again, it's not something to be too surprised of, because council bosses think they can get away with anything because they think no one's talking about it and there's no scrutiny. But we at the Taxpayers Alliance have got dead eyes on this. You've got your eyes on this, and the government needs to turn specifically Andrew Rayner, the Deputy PM, who's council, this is in a remit. She needs to do something about this. If she's interested in actually saving taxpayers' money, as Labour say that they are, whether you believe that or not is another thing. If they're interested in saving taxpayers' money, maybe they should look at the amount of council bosses that are filling these back rooms and wasting, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of pounds of taxpayers' cash every single year. All the while, ordinary taxpayers have to deal with rubbish in their streets. And I mean, you talk about bins and rubbish. What are people going to do? They're just going to fly tip, aren't they? And the streets are just going to look worse. So actually, actually making these areas look worse by not collecting your bins and by not putting the money into these bins, because you're putting the money into your own back pocket.
And it's the stuff that people care about.
Yeah, totally.
You can talk about international, diplomacy and whether or not we're going to sell the Chagos Islands. This is the stuff that people really do care about.
Stuff.
Absolutely. William, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed. William Yarwood there from the Taxpayers Alliance. Big piece in the paper today from John O'Connell, who's Chief Executive of the Taxpayers Alliance, in the Sun. Get hold of it. It's page 10. 238 Town Hall top brass earn more than Keir Starmer. So why on earth are the services so bleeding awful? That's the question.